Breaking news coming in, cutting straight across to the protest that is going on here in the getting more details as far as this protest is concerned. Live visuals on your screens right now, the protest that is taking place in the national capital. We'll find out exactly what this is about in moments from now. Okay, National Herald headquarters. This looks like a Congress protest. Let's listen in.
ईडी के यहाँ पर आने का विरोध करते हैं क्योंकि ये हैरेसमेंट है, ब्लेटेंट मिसयूज है, इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी पे दबाव है। नेशनल हेराल्ड इज अवर प्राइड एंड दिस इज अ न्यूज़पेपर ऑफ फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल। यू कैन नॉट सैबोटेज नेशनल हेराल्ड।
Congress protests in the national capital. ED, hi, hi. Those are the chants that you can hear. Let's also listen into the chants that you can hear. They're protesting against the raid at the National Herald office. Congress mouthpieces office raided. The Congress party says that it's they take pride in that newspaper and it's a shame that it's getting raided. These are raids over the National Herald scam. Remember, Rahul and Sonia Gandhi were also quizzed in the alleged money laundering case in the National Herald case. Latest coming in of the Congress party workers protesting in the national capital. This is on the back of the raid by the Enforcement Directorate at the National Herald newspaper. And this is coming in after the Enforcement Directorate quizzing of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. They've been reporting how the ED has raided the National Herald headquarters. And on the back of this, the Congress is now protesting against the Enforcement Directorate. Getting you those latest visuals that are coming in live from the national capital. You can see all the Congress party workers, many Congress party workers, I beg your pardon, holding placards. They are sloganeering while protesting. There's a lot of chaos that is going on right outside the National Herald office where the ED raid is taking place. Listen in to the sloganeering going on by the Congress party workers too. Let's listen in. Ashutosh Mishra now joins us live for the latest. Ashutosh, Congress party workers protesting against the Enforcement Directorate. We can see a lot of pandemonium outside the National Herald office. Bring us up to speed with the latest developments.
Well, we have seen the similar protest when Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi were summoned by the Enforcement Directorate for the questioning. And today when ED carried out searches in Delhi, Kolkata, Lucknow, 12 locations in the alleged National Herald scam. Here, just 5 minutes ago, the Congress workers hit out the street right at Herald House outside the publication office and carrying out protests against the ED. Virtually, the Delhi police had almost, prevented their entry inside the headquarters. But now these workers are protesting here, the youth Congress workers and the Congress workers. And now the police is trying to take them away. Of course, they will be detained here, but carrying out the banner and posters. You have already heard the MPs from the Congress calling it vendetta politics, calling it an ED's misuse against the Congress functionaries, Congress leaders. And here the protest, some around 30 to 40 Congress workers have gathered at Herald House protesting against ED's raid, which was carried out this morning by the central agency.
महिला कार्यकर्ताओं से बात करने की कोशिश करते हैं। गौरव, हम यहाँ की आपको तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं। हालांकि जो ईडी की टीम है, सूत्रों के मुताबिक वो सुबह ही यहाँ पर पहुंच गई थी, लेकिन उसके बाद जो कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता हैं वो यहाँ पर शाम को पहुंचते हैं। कुछ महिला कार्यकर्ताओं से बात करते हैं।
जब मोदी डरता है, ईडी को आगे करता है। पूरे देश में ईडी का प्रशासन, लगातार ईडी का दुरुपयोग किया जा रहा है। ये ब्लैटेंट मिसयूज है। सरकार ये नहीं समझ रही कि नेशनल हेराल्ड इस देश की आत्मा है। आजादी से पहले से यह अखबार चल रहा है। इस अखबार पर छापा मारना, इस देश की आत्मा पे छापा मारना।
इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रही है।
हम सब जानते हैं ईडी किसके कहने पे इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है। हमारे लीडर्स गए, दे फॉलो ड्यू प्रोसेस, लेकिन कुछ नहीं मिला इन लोगों को, तो हम नेशनल हेरल्ड पे छापा मार रहे हैं। क्यों मारना चाहते हैं? इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसीज कॉम्प्रोमाइज है, दे वर्क ऑन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ गवर्नमेंट।
ये देखिए, जो कांग्रेसी कार्यकर्ता हैं उनकी अपनी दलीलें हैं, और ये देखिए यहाँ पर पुलिस कोशिश कर रही है जो लोग बैठे हैं उनको किसी तरीके से यहाँ से जो गेट है हेरल्ड हाउस का, इसके बाहर से इनको यहाँ से हटाया जाए। ये लगातार कोशिश है, क्योंकि गेट के बाहर यहाँ पर आप देखिए, गेट के बाहर तमाम जो कार्यकर्ता हैं वो यहाँ पर बैठ गए हैं। उनके पीछे महिला कार्यकर्ता है। हालांकि पुलिस की संख्या इतनी नहीं है, यही वजह है कि पुलिस, ये देखिए आपको हम यहाँ की तस्वीरें दिखाते हैं। देखिए पुलिस किस तरीके से यहाँ से लोगों को हटाने की कोशिश कर रही है। आप ये ताजा तस्वीरें गौरव हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। देखिए किस तरीके से पुलिस यहाँ से लोगों को हटाने की कोशिश में लगी हुई है। जो कार्यकर्ता है वो यहाँ पर पहुंचते हैं 4 बजे के आसपास। धीरे धीरे कार्यकर्ता एक एक करके यहाँ पे जुटते हैं, और शायद पुलिस के पास इसकी पहले से इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं थी। एक एक कर कार्यकर्ता पहुंचते हैं, उसी समय पुलिस भी यहाँ पर पहुंचती है। इस इलाके को, जो मेन गेट है उसको खाली कराया जाता है, और अब जो कार्यकर्ता यहाँ बैठ गए हैं उनको यहाँ पर हटाने की कोशिश, समझा बुझा करके, धक्का मुक्की करके, हर तरीके से यहाँ पर पुलिस हटाने की कोशिश कर रही है। सीढ़ियों पे पहुंच गए थे लोग, उनको देखिए हटाकर आगे की तरफ यहाँ पर पुलिस लेकर के आई है। लगातार कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता ईडी हाय हाय का नारा लगा रहे हैं, उनके अपने तर्क है, और यहाँ पर पुलिस की कोशिश है कि किसी तरीके से गौरव इस एरिया को खाली कराया जाए। आप देखिए इस एरिया को, क्योंकि ये जो पूरा जो मेन गेट है,
ने दुरुपयोग करा है। आज सोनिया गांधी और राहुल गांधी पर जो अत्याचार कर रहे हैं उनको देश की जनता से माफी मांगनी देंगे, तैयार है, फांसी लगा देंगे, तैयार है। हम कांग्रेसी
अपने मोदी सरकार
जांच करने का राइट ही नहीं है।
तो देखिए कार्यकर्ता है, उन सबके अलग अलग देखिए तर्क है। यहाँ पर वो प्ले कार्ड लेकर के, और अचानक से
Ashutosh Mishra is now joining us for the latest. Ashutosh, you've been getting us all the details as far as the protest outside the National Herald headquarters is concerned. At this point, can you bring us up to speed in terms of what's going on and what are the key demands at this point?
Well, you know, the only thing that the Congress and other opposition have been saying that stop misusing the central agencies, including the ED. And since this morning when the raids were conducted at 12 locations, including at the National Herald office in the capital, this was anticipated. Remember when Sonia Gandhi was summoned, when Rahul Gandhi was summoned, from top leaders to the Congress workers, everyone almost were on the street. And we have seen the kind of outrage on the street against summoning of these two Congress leaders. And clearly Congress have been very vocal even since this monsoon session of Parliament began. And yet again when the raids were carried out, so clearly there was criticism and, aggression from the Congress when it comes to the parliamentarians issuing statements in the House. But clearly here on the street, at this evening, in a surprise way, the Congress workers came out on the street, protesting, and only thing they're saying that stop misusing of the central agencies. While the ED
जहाँ की है उसका कन्वेंशन रेट देख लीजिए, क्या कन्वेंशन रेट है। तो डराएंगे, जो इनके यहाँ डर के आता है वो गंगा धुल जाता है। जो नहीं डरेगा उसको ऐसे डराएंगे, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
सीबीआई से डराएंगे। राहुल जी और सोनिया जी जब पार्लियामेंट में दिखा देते हैं इनकी सीढ़ी, तो सीबीआई लगा देते हैं और लगा देते हैं उनके पीछे ईडी। तो हम ना तो पहले डरे थे और ना अब डरेंगे। ना मोदी से डरेंगे, ना उसके अमित शाह से डरेंगे, ना उसकी पुलिस से डरेंगे, क्योंकि मोदी जब जब डरता है दिल्ली पुलिस को आगे करता है।
Is Ashutosh with us? Let's bring Ashutosh Mishra to bring you up to speed with the latest developments coming in. The ED has raided the National Herald headquarters, and there is a protest that is going on by the Congress party workers outside the Herald House here in the national capital. Bringing you all the latest at the moment from the national capital. Ashutosh Mishra is right there, and as you can see, the heavy police deployment is there. The Congress party workers holding their party flags, holding placards. You can see a few women being manhandled by the women police officers right there. So far, this protest does not look violent at all, but it is a protest right outside the National Herald headquarters, on the back of the Enforcement Directorate raids right there. We're getting a ground report, I believe. Let's play the ground report.
और यहाँ से भी अब पुलिस की कोशिश है कि किसी तरीके से उनको यहाँ से हटाया जाए ताकि इस सड़क पर जो ट्रैफिक है उसे खोला जा सके। आप देखिए महिला और पुरुष कार्यकर्ता दोनों यहाँ पर पहुंचे हुए हैं और पुलिस यहाँ से हटा करके ले जा रहे हैं। कैमरामैन अभिषेक भाई के साथ हिमांशु मिश्रा, दिल्ली, आज तक।
पार्टी की स्मर्थक हूँ और ये बार बार हमारे अभी तक सोनिया गांधी जी को ईडी के लिए बुला रहे थे, राहुल गांधी जी को ईडी पे बुला रहे थे। जब कुछ नहीं मिला तो चुपचाप मोदी जी ने ईडी को यहाँ भेज दिया। ईडी को कोई काम नहीं है क्या? हेरल्ड एक न्यूज पेपर है, पहले उसके बारे में पढ़ लो, जान लो। अगर इतना ही उनको है तो आप ये जो कर रहे हो, जो आपकी अपनी सिटी में हो रहा है, उसको आप देखते हो। आपकी गुजरात में लोग मर रहे हैं शराब पी के, आपने तो कह दिया ड्राई सिटी है। कैसे ड्राई सिटी है? इतनी जहरीली की शराब वहां कहाँ से पहुंच गई? अडानी इतने घपले कर रहा है। वही तो आप लोग सिर्फ एक
Ashutosh is now joining us for the very latest on this. Ashutosh, we can see a lot of Congress party workers showing outrage. They are going on to claim vendetta by the Bharatiya Janata Party, insinuating that the ED probably acting on behest of the BJP. What are you picking up from the Congress party workers?
Well, it's almost a high voltage drama outside the outside the National Herald building out here. There you see the police is now trying to convince the Congress workers to evacuate this area. In fact, many of them are being, being taken here. And since they were trying to enter in the building, the police stopped them. And other side, these protesters are meant here, rigid here, with the banner posters, with the Congress flag, protesting against the central government, calling them the misuse of the agency. And since this morning, the raids which were being carried out. Look at this. Other side there you see. Now they have almost virtually blocked this one of the stretch outside the Herald building. And now really the Delhi police has to struggle. क्यों आए हैं प्रोटेस्ट करने?
मांग ये कर रहे हैं कि ये जो फर्जीवाड़ा जांच हो रही है इसको बंद करें। ये 2024 के चुनाव में ध्यान में रखकर मोदी सरकार इसका नाजायज इस्तेमाल कर रही है ईडी का। ये वही ईडी है जो 2015 में इस केस को बंद कर चुकी थी। अब ये कौन सी ईडी आ गई? या तो ये ईडी गलत है या वो ईडी गलत है। सिर्फ और सिर्फ राजनीतिक साजिश है।
You see, Amrita Dhawan is also here in the field leading the team of the Women Congress workers. Almost now the Delhi police is asking them to vacate this area or there will be... अमृता प्रोटेस्ट करने आप लोग आए हैं। सुबह से रेड चल रही थी। प्रोटेस्ट हम पार्लियामेंट में भी देख रहे हैं, स्ट्रीट पे भी देख रहे हैं कांग्रेस।
देखिए, प्रोटेस्ट इन्वेस्टिगेशन का नहीं है। प्रोटेस्ट इस बात का है कि सरकार के इशारे पे इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा है। ईडी की अपनी विश्वसनीयता खत्म हो चुकी है। ये नेशनल हेरल्ड अखबार है जो आजादी से पहले से इसकी स्थापना हुई, स्वतंत्रता संग्राम का एक बहुत बड़ा माउथपीस है। जो ब्लडशेड हुआ इस आजादी के लिए, उसको स्वर्ण अक्षरों में इस अखबार में लिखा गया। इस अखबार को आप छापा मार रहे हैं। कल किसी भी मीडिया हाउस पे छापा मार सकते हैं ये लोग। ये सिर्फ उसकी आवाज बंद करना चाहते जो इनके खिलाफ बोलता है। इनको दिख रहा है कि ये सरकार जानती है कि हमारे नेता डरे नहीं। राहुल जी ने 50 घंटे की इन्वेस्टिगेशन झेली। मैडम ने 3 दिन तक लगातार इन्वेस्टिगेशन ज्वाइन करी। हम तो ड्यू प्रोसेस फॉलो कर रहे हैं, पर बार बार इस इन्वेस्टिगेशन के नाम पर ये जो हैरेसमेंट किया जा रहा है, ये जिस तरीके से इसको
there you see the Congress workers are being detained here. They are being taken from the ED office. They are being taken to the nearest police station. Of course, the police is asking them to vacate this area because this is not the place where they can carry out their protest. But here, the women Congress workers, the men Congress workers, all the police have now virtually barricaded them. They are being taken from this area. And of course, the protest against the ED's raid this morning at the National Herald office in the capital, Chennai.
And Ashutosh, we can hear sloganeering that says, very reminiscent of what we saw during independence times, going ED go back, like Simon go back. Ashutosh?
Yes, and the similar protest, because it reminds protest, those images when Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi were summoned to the ED headquarters for the questioning. Of course, the number of the Congress workers were much more, and not only the Congress workers but also the senior leaders from the party, from the Chief Minister of Congress ruled states to the senior MPs, all were on the street. And here today, remember, they have been really vocal from day one, when Rahul Gandhi was summoned, when Sonia Gandhi was summoned, and everything what they have to say. You heard from Amrita Dhawan, that is the what line the Congress is taking, that the newspaper, which was the voice for the, the battle of independence, and here how the central agencies and the government is targeting. So one side the Congress claim vendetta, subsequently then saying that how the Congress leaders, the opposition is particularly being targeted. And remember, we have also heard from the opposition, including the left and several others, that how they are now chugging on the strategy that to challenge the Supreme Court's verdict on the PMLA, the several amendments, 2019 amendments, and the power that they given to the EDs. Now, including Congress and left parties and several other opposition also planning to challenge, seek a review to the larger bench to the order that Supreme Court recently upheld all the powers under the PMLA to the Enforcement Directorate. But other side, the optics war, the perception battle, that also continue. There you exactly see why these Congress workers right outside the National Herald office, where the ED carried out raid this morning along with 12 other locations, they came out hitting the street and protesting. Chaiti.
And largely, Ashutosh, are these protests silent, calm? Because I could see a few female police officers manhandling one of the female Congress workers. Is it all calm, or is there any kind of violence? That we can see that again. I can see that on the screens right now, live visuals.
Well, not a violence at all, not a violence at all. It is indeed a peaceful protest. Of course, they are aggressive. There are sloganeering, shouting, but of course, because many try to go towards the National Herald building, the police only try to prevent them. And in fact, if you see, the rope barricade, have been made out here. This is to, prevent Congress workers from going inside, because this building also has a passport office and several other commercial institutions as well. Now they have been totally restricted to the other side of the road. So clearly, there is no violence or any such aggression either. Of course, when there is a political protest happens, these images are very common, because whenever they show aggression go towards other side of the building or the institution where they go to protest, the police try to prevent them. So that's what's happening. Largely it is a peaceful protest, and so far they have been confined to a particular pocket, very small area, and the police is now appealing them to vacate and go back. And if that doesn't happen, then as a legal process under the CRPC, they will be detained and taken to the nearby police station. Look at this. Those women who came out from the particular pocket, now these police.
So far, Ashutosh, there have been no detentions, right, from the protest site. So far, there have been zero detentions from the protest site.
There have been no detention. Indeed, there have been no detention so far, because usually it's when when such political protest happens, now the police will ask them to go back, but if they don't, given under certain time, of course they will be detained. And most likely we have seen under the political protest, whenever such it happens, whether the Parliament Street or Jantar Mantar or anywhere or these places, mostly it leads to a detention. In fact, when the day Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi were also summoned, when Congress workers came out, including their certain chief minister, MPs and top senior leaders, they all were detained. So here, for now, the Delhi police only has confined them to one place. They're not allowed to go to the Herald building, and perhaps they'll be watching. If they're not going back home soon, then they will be detained and taken to the nearby police station.
That's right, and as we speak, the ED is currently conducting their searches inside the National Herald office, right? Inside, that's what's going on, and outside, this is what the protest is going on. If you could confirm.
Well, the raids which started at around 9:30 this morning, perhaps almost other locations it is over, and what we know, the officials are still on the 4th floor at the account office, and perhaps in the files and records they were tracing. So that while continues, there we see the protest by the Congress workers right outside the Herald building. So of course that procedure, because several searches and raids, that quite takes some time, it goes in hours when the central agencies carried out such searches. So one side the raids being carried out by the agency, right outside on the street you see the protest by the Congress workers against the central agency's action.
No, absolutely. So we can see the protests, they're largely peaceful, no detentions. Ashutosh, is this protest of the Congress party restricted to outside the Herald House in Delhi, or have there been other locations. All right. Amit Malviya of the Bharatiya Janata Party joins us on the phone line. Mr. Malviya, your first up reaction. My question here is, the Congress shows a lot of outrage when either Sonia Gandhi gets grilled, Rahul Gandhi gets grilled, the ED raids their premises, but there is outrage amiss where the issues are of real concern to the nation.
Look, all this outrage is not going to help Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi. They aren't about law. They will have to be accountable for the massive corruption that has happened in the National Herald case. The matter has been looked into at various levels of the judiciary, and they have prima facie found merit in the allegations of fund embezzlement and acquiring properties worth thousands of crores by using public money. Having said that, the agencies have been tasked to do a job, and they will do it. The opposition cannot cry vendetta. Being in opposition does not give you immunity against investigation. You look at Partha Chatterjee, the ED found cash worth more than 50 crore rupees. Satyendra Jain of the Aam Aadmi Party continues to be in jail and has got no relief from the judiciary. Similarly, Nawab Malik and Anil Deshmukh of the NCP are in jail and have not been able to convince the court otherwise. Therefore, the action of the agencies is very much in the realms of law. They have proof against these people who have indulged in massive corruption, and anybody, irrespective of their stature, will be investigated if they indulge in corruption, and Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi are no exception. My advice to the Congress workers would be to keep their powder dry when the Gandhis get convicted by the courts and have to face jail. Probably they should hit the streets at that point in time.
Mr. Malviya, how do you respond to the Congress Party workers at this point who are going on right there to say that it is the Bharatiya Janata Party that is using agencies like the Enforcement Directorate to target them?
I just said that these matters are being looked into by the courts. If Calcutta High Court found merit in the SST recruitment scam and asked the agencies to investigate, then the agencies have a job to do. Similarly, if the courts have looked at the National Herald case and have prima facie found that there was wrongdoing and income tax and other agencies were asked to look into the matter, then clearly there will be investigation. Gandhis cannot expect preferential treatment in this country.
Also, there's a growing chorus, Mr. Malviya, that usually when you see these Enforcement Directorate raids that go on, they are usually on the opposition leaders, and not many raids you see as far as the ruling party leaders are concerned. How do you respond to that too?
If the ruling party members are corrupt, then the opposition should bring it out. And if they think that the agencies are not acting against ruling party members, they have the courts to go to.
Correct.
Let me remind these people that the case in National Herald was filed in 2013 in the court when the Congress was in power. Similarly, when the Colgate happened, the 2G spectrum happened, the BJP and its allies went to the court. And we made sure that they were held accountable. So to merely sit and allege that the agencies are acting against opposition leaders makes no sense, because the fact is that being in opposition, if you're indulging in corruption, you will be probed. And if you think that there are people in the ruling party or on the ruling side who are not being probed, then by all means bring out the evidence, go to the courts, and the courts will order the agencies to act.
Fair point.
It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Mr. Malviya, I appreciate you taking the time out and joining us for that first up reaction on the protests that are taking place in the national capital.